Batman Arkham Knight is the third and final installment in the Batman Arkham trilogy. Yes, I said trilogy. Batman Arkham Origins doesn't count. The Batman Arkham Knight takes place 6 months after the events of Arkham City. In this final conclusion, the city of Gotham is evacuated after Scarecrow makes a threat to unleash his fear gas upon the city of Gotham. Now, as Batman, your goal is, of course, to stop Scarecrow, who is also teamed up with a new villain called the Arkham Knight. This is a really fun game. Like, I love the Arkham series. I've loved every single installment so far, ever since Asylum. I loved Asylum, I loved Arkham City, I even enjoyed Arkham Origins. It wasn't my favorite, but I really did enjoy it. And I'm really, really glad that Origins wasn't the last Batman game, because that would have been a disappointing way to end the franchise. But Arkham Knight serves as a very, very, very strong conclusion to the whole Arkham trilogy. As such, I've been extremely excited for this game. I've been waiting for this game ever since they announced it like a year or so ago. I've just been waiting and theorizing about who the Arkham Knight is, and I've just been really pumped and excited. Now, how does it hold up? It is really fun. It's a really fun game. Is it perfect? No. It has some serious faults. But overall, it's still an extremely fun game that serves as a very good conclusion. Before I get deep into the story, I just want to say that this is a spoiler-free review. No spoilers here. None. Because I do not like spoiling things, and I will not spoil this for you. I do fully plan on doing a spoiler-filled review later on, because I do have more than a few things to say about the game story in detail. But that's not this review here, this is a spoiler-free one, so don't have to worry about that. The story of the Arkham Knight, as I said, takes place in the city of Gotham after it's been evacuated, and your goal as Batman is to stop Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight. Now that sounds very basic, and it is, but it's actually one of my favorite stories in the series. Now the plot is very basic, especially when compared to Arkham City, where it's just very long and complicated, and really almost kind of convoluted. This story is a little bit more grounded in terms of focus. It has a lot more focus than the other games. And that's one of the things I really liked about it. The focus was on being mostly on Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight. Therefore, when you get more focus on those villains, it makes it that much more poignant as a story. And it's that much more engaging, at least for me personally. And then, when you're not dealing with so much as a complicated plot, you're then able to focus more on the characters and relationships between the characters and story arcs. When you have a super complicated plot, it's very difficult to focus on character growth because there's too many other things going on at the same time. Now, the Scarecrow is an amazing villain. It's his turn to step up to the plate and be the main villain of a game. In all the previous games, it's always been Joker. Joker was the main villain. He was a great main villain, but it was really refreshing to see a different villain step up to the plate and be the main antagonist. And it provides a lot different story. And I've always loved Scarecrow as a villain. I love how he plays with fears and everything. And it's really enjoyable to watch Batman and Scarecrow go head to head. And it's just so different than the previous games. And I like it when there's variety and there's different things happening. And the whole Scarecrow aspect of it as a villain really works as a concluding chapter for this franchise. And that is just something that I really personally enjoyed. It is very motivating, and I loved it. Now, one of the big and important aspects of this game is that which the game gets its title of, and that's the villain, the Arkham Knight. Now, for me, one of the biggest draws to this game, and one of the things I was most excited about, was the Arkham Knight. I like things where it's mystery or trying to figure out someone's identity. I like theorizing. I've been theorizing for months leading up to this game, and it's just been really enjoyable, and I've just been super excited about who it could be and what their motivation is and how the two relate to each other in terms of conflict and motivation. That being said, it's really disappointing, the whole Arkham Knight thing. He's not that great of a villain. He just isn't. He's a fine villain. He's probably better than most villains. I think he's more compelling than, say, a Penguin, but that's just me. But as like a driving force of this game, like so much so that the game is named after him, he's not that great. And the whole, like, identity aspect of it, like I said, I've been theorizing for months and everything. And within an hour of playing this game, I had a pretty strong idea of who it was. And I actually was right. I was right, but I had my doubts throughout. But even if you don't realize it within the first hour, or haven't figured it out by now, there's a point, like two-thirds of the way through, maybe 3/4 of the game, where the game tries to hint at it, but it really fails, and it's super obvious, and as soon as you see it, you're like, oh, that's the Arkham Knight. Okay, now I know. I'm done thinking about it now. And that's really disappointing, and the actual reveal of it is really, it's just not great. It's not really compelling, and it kind of loses its impact, and it's supposed to be, it should have been a huge reveal, leading up to an epic final confrontation with the Arkham Knight, and it just wasn't. Now, all the characters in the story are well acted, well portrayed, and the connection between all the different characters works very well. Now, the gameplay reflects Rocksteady's years of developing games in this series, and it shows. Like, the combat is more refined and better than ever. Everything that the Arkham Knight does is even better than Arkham City. It has been refined, it has been improved upon, and you feel it. It's great. Include new enemies, include new tactics, and it's way more varied than ever. And that's something that's really surprised me, because every time I play these games, I'm like, oh, I can't imagine how it can get better. And they do it. They manage to make it better. And I love that. Now, the biggest new addition to the Arkham Knight is the Batmobile. We have never driven it before. We saw it briefly in Arkham Asylum, but never driven it. And now finally we get to get behind the wheel of the Batman's vehicle. And now the Batmobile has had some, I'm going to say, controversy. Some people have loved it, other people have hated it. Where do I stand? Somewhere in between. When you first get the Batmobile, it is incredibly awesome. I actually really enjoy the Batmobile. It's a lot of fun. It provides some variety to the game. We've never done anything like it in the previous games. And I like it when there's variety or things that are different. And it's really fun. The problem with the Batmobile, though, is that there's too much of it. Meaning, it's not just there as an option for you to use, it is forced upon you time after time after time, again and again and again. There's just so much of it. Now, it's still fun playing using the Batmobile, but it's not why I bought this game. I bought this game to be the Batman, not to be the Batmobile. And there are just times, especially in the later half of the game, where it just feels like you're playing as the Batmobile and not as the Batman. And there's all this drone combat where you turn the Batmobile into a frickin' tank, and it's really cool and awesome, but it's used way too much. Way too much. I enjoy it, I do, but there's too much of it. I'd rather have more combat, more stealth sections. And one of the big downsides of this game, which a lot of people don't seem to mind that much, but I do, is there's almost no boss battles. No boss battles. Which is a major, major downside to this game. It is. You don't need boss battles in the game for a game to be good. You don't. But the Arkham series has built itself upon great boss battles. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Origins all had great boss battles, and several of them with all these different villains, and they're all varied and different from each other, and they're really challenging and really fun, and I love them. And as a result, to see that there's almost no boss battles is extremely disappointing, and I feel like Rocksteady just ran out of ideas for these boss battles and just didn't want to do it. Now, that being said, there are boss battles, but almost all of them except for one is from the Batmobile. That's right. Boss battles that should have been like combat or stealth are instead Batmobile battles with the tank or driving or racing away. And that is just so aggravating because the boss battles in the Batmobile aren't good. They aren't fun. They're frustrating as hell. There's like a couple of them that are actually pretty fun, and there is a lot of fun to have the Batmobile. But it just angers me that what could have been fantastic boss battles were replaced with the Batmobile, or just didn't exist at all. There is one boss battle that isn't the Batmobile. That's not okay. We deserve, as gamers and fans of the series, more than that. Really quick, the graphics are amazing. It is a gorgeous looking game. This is truly, truly a next-gen game. It is just absolutely stunning. It performs extremely well, unless you have the PC port. I heard some bad things about the PC port. I personally haven't played it. But if you want to play this game, get the best experience with it. As I understand it, do it on the consoles. The performance is great on it, and it looks great. It is a beautiful game. It's raining pretty much the entire time outside, and it looks gorgeous. Facial animation is very good. Textures are very detailed and look fantastic. And I don't recall any graphical issues. Maybe a couple of small ones, but nothing that I remember. And it all performed really well. I didn't have any game crashes. I didn't have any game disrupting glitches. And it's just a beautiful game. You just look around this huge expansive city and you just see how gorgeous it is. Overall, Batman Arkham Knight is a fantastic game, incredibly fun, is a great conclusion to the Arkham trilogy. Its story is incredibly engaging, Scarecrow's a great villain. The Arkham Knight is a bit of a disappointment, but it doesn't really detract from the story too much. It's still a very engaging story. The gameplay is a lot of fun, greatly improved from its predecessor. The Batmobile is a fun addition. There's way too much of it though, and that is a big issue, but still has its fun moments and is still really fun. And the graphics look incredible, they're amazing, it's a beautiful looking game, performs really well, and it is just fantastic. For those who aren't familiar with my rating system, I don't use a number scale. Instead, I rate based off of skill and knowledge of what fans and gamers want out of their games, and the quality of the game itself. So I rate it I give them rankings based upon Star Wars, which is where the title of my channel comes from, The Prodigal Knight. So the lowest ranking is Apprentice, and then Padawan, and then Knight, and then Master. Now, Arkham Knight is not a perfect game. It has its issues, but it still is a lot of fun, and is definitely worth playing by anyone who loves the Batman games, or action games in general, or just wants to try out a new fun game for the new generation of consoles. So as such, Batman Arkham Knight ironically gets a Knight. It is a fun game, not perfect, it has its flaws, but it is overall a great game, and you owe it to yourself to at least give it a try, and you'll have a lot of fun with this game. I hope you found my review helpful. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought. I do appreciate feedback, and I do want to get better at this. I'm still relatively new to this. Please let me know what you think of Batman Arkham Knight if you've played it. Please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe.